it was funny that we met in Auckland Airport, and from there we organized to get into this conversation. You spend more time in the US than in New Zealand, and still you make time to come to a little conference like Multicore World. Why? What makes it different for you?
I think you do a great job of getting speakers from all around the world here. So not only do I get to catch up with my colleagues in New Zealand, but with experts from all around the world. And I guess it's my second one since the original, the second event. So it's very exciting to be back. So.
No, and I really appreciate that you come back. But that was probably 8 or 9 years ago. And in perspective, you really have done significant progress from that presentation, which was much more visual, or at least that's how I remember it, to today that has a much more low-level, profound substrate of, I don't know, even topology of where do you put all the things together?
Yeah, I thought that was actually really interesting. I was talking with someone just afterwards, and they said they really enjoyed the technical level of the talk. And traditionally, I would give, presentations every day to people I'm working with. So they're at a customer benefit level, and it's actually really exciting to be able to talk with an audience like this who literally understand what I'm talking about when I'm referring about compiler problems and versioning and some of the challenges in the future of machine learning and how we can improve, or how we could take models that have been incredibly successful with language and apply them to images. I mean, those are very deep topics, and you can have that conversation here, which is really exciting.
Well, just mentioning that's funny and at the same time a little bit sad, because the previous interview that I had was with Mark Thomas from his company, which the point is he had the same issue. He was really happy to be in front of an audience here in New Zealand who understands. Now that in some way is fun, but in another way is tragic. How can we make things in New Zealand? Why you are traveling the States 10 months a year and nobody pays much attention to you here in New Zealand? What are we doing wrong? Nobody's an extreme word, but...
Well, I think there's one change that's occurred in New Zealand which has been very successful, which is I think it's called the Summer of Tech, and it's basically students will come in, we'll work with universities, and we employ a lot of people through that program. And that's been something that has changed in the last 10 years. I think the piece that's missing is we still don't do a good job of connecting New Zealand companies together in some kind of framework like this. I mean, I think there's a variety of specialties and the ability to have companies share that information. I think it's the kind of thing that Callaghan could perhaps take a role in. It seems like a missed opportunity from my perspective.
You mentioned I was tempted to bring the government into the conversation, and it's very easy to ask for the government and at the same time to blame the government. We are entrepreneurs. We keep going with or without government, but as I keep saying, they are the largest venture capitalists in the country in one way or other. It would be nice if they are more than facilitators, but are we asking too much from them?
I think the challenge is in this context, you wouldn't be asking for money. What you'd be asking for is facilitation.
They think that they're very good in facilitation, but the understanding of facilitation is to hire a venue, provide catering, and bring everything together. And then
This shouldn't be physical. I don't think it's realistic. I think events like this are the perfect opportunity for when you want to get together with experts in your field. What we're talking about is something where you want to have a virtual touch base once a month where the people in your field have like a list of things you're going through, and maybe someone submits a presentation, and it's just like a heartbeat for New Zealand companies to keep on top of what we're doing. We're able to partner with Mark because we are working together with mutual customers. There are probably other companies in New Zealand we should be working with that we haven't yet run into, which is crazy because we could be going together with opportunities. So, maybe I'm unfair in just putting Callaghan, and maybe I should say it should be New Zealand Trade Enterprise as well.
Yes. Or directly the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment, which deals with too many things. But it's an interesting angle that you gave that, like we met the other day. We share customers, we share the same bus. They're in New Zealand to San Francisco. Now, it's still, because let's take a couple of examples, Weta and Rocket Lab. They are successes with or without support of the government, but they create their...
Massive support from the
Of course they have. But for example, they not necessarily join us here, because it's not that they are secretive, we can dispute if they are New Zealand companies or not. And I'm not trying to be cheeky, I'm just trying to, but they created ecosystems.
Yeah.
That's a fact. And that means that we are a failure, that we are struggling to create?
Well, for example, so we worked with Weta and PicPoc to establish the Victoria University Computer Graphics course. So I think there are occasionally efforts by industry where it suits them, which makes sense. We're coming together for a common goal. I just think there's potentially the opportunity to just provide a little bit of a framework so that we can have, something. Basically, there's a place where you can, almost like a bulletin board, where you can see what's going on and what people are doing and what cool new products people are launching, because it's easy to be busy and just miss out on all that. So.
Because my challenge for us and the industry and the government is that there are layers of technology that organizations use, and some are core to the essence of the company, other is just things that allow the company to function. And definitely they are technology takers, and as further from New Zealand, even the better. And that creates a culture that, okay, I just buy it from the vendor, and the vendor will take care of me. And I forget that you have solutions around the corner. I'm being too critical of reality?
Oh, look, I think there's lots of challenges that you have from a purchasing perspective. I mean, we've definitely faced situations where we've found it harder to sell to another New Zealand company or to the New Zealand government, yet we have parties like Dell using us for their core software. And I think,
it's the same effort to sell in Texas than in New Zealand.
Absolutely, and the scale is so different. So, for example, I recently had a customer conversation where we were talking about installing thousands of cameras inside a facility in America, and we were talking with a New Zealand partner who was looking to do something similar, and they were just very confused as to why we were talking about the scale and all of the software layers and all of the quality, and I said, like, why don't you just climb up a ladder and fix it? I'm like, how many cameras do you think we're talking about? And their assumption was we were talking about maybe 10 cameras. So just by its nature, we're often 2 orders of magnitude smaller on the scale that we might think in New Zealand. But I think equally we are extremely conservative sometimes. So instead of supporting New Zealand companies internally, we turn to a big US company or a big overseas company because we feel like that's going to be a safer bet. Yet here are these European and US companies taking a bet on New Zealand startups. So it does seem crazy, I do think.
We will be fine.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, David, again. Appreciate your support.
Cheers.
Thank you.